Eddie Evergreen followed the compass up the new trail, noticing how the air shifted as they climbed. Harper Lane walked beside him, keeping her focus on the changing wind along the trail. Walked beside him with her tablet ready. They had just left the echoing stones behind, venturing into unknown territory. The path grew steeper and steeper until it opened onto a narrow ridge that stretched high above the forest canopy. As soon as they stepped onto the ridge, the wind picked up. But this wasn't ordinary wind. It swept across the rocks in thin, focused currents, carrying faint sounds that were completely out of place. It wasn't the rustling of leaves or the creaking of distant branches. It was something else entirely. Eddie reached the ridge first. The moment his feet touched the narrow shelf of rock, the wind seemed to change. A soft whisper curled through the gust. It was too clear to be a trick of nature, yet too faint to actually understand what it was saying. Harper joined him a moment later, listening intently, her head tilted to the side. The wind circled around them, carrying fragments of words that broke apart just as quickly as they formed. Harper raised her tablet, its screen glowing as she tried to analyze the strange acoustics. "The ridge is channeling sound," she said, her voice filled with discovery. "Slate the echoing stones. But it's happening through the air." Intrigued, Eddie took a step forward along the precarious path. The whispers grew stronger. They weren't any louder, but they were more distinct, more defined. It felt as if the air itself was trying to reveal a secret, but couldn't quite finish the message on its own. He raised the compass, holding it out in front of him. The needle, which had been steady, began to tremble violently before locking onto a single point farther down the ridge. The whispering currents reacted instantly, shifting their direction to match the compass. Harper's eyes widened behind her glasses. "Eddie, it's not just wind. It's giving us instructions." They had their guide. Cautiously, they followed the compass along the narrow spine of the ridge. The whispers swirled around them, an unseen companion urging them forward. After a few minutes of careful walking, the path dipped down, leading them into a sheltered pocket of rock. A small hollow carved out of the mountainside. Tss. The moment they stepped into the hollow, the whispering stopped. It was as if a switch had been flipped. The air fell completely still, replaced by a deep, profound silence that was almost as unsettling as the whispers had been. And there, in the center of the dusty ground, lay a small metal clasp. It was bent and rusted. It was unmistakably part of a ranger uniform. Eddie stared at it, his heart pounding. This wasn't like the badge they'd found before. This one looked like it had been torn off deliberately, with force. As he looked at the clasp, the compass in his hand began to glow, shining brighter than it had at any point since their journey began. Harper spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "Theirs wasn't dropped by accident. It was left as a signal. Someone wanted us to find this exact place." Eddie reached down and closed his hand around the cold, rested metal. The ridge had shared its secret, its whispered message leading them right to this spot. Now, the real mystery began. Understanding why.